What is it with being completely exhausted and moving all sleep that makes you just want to cry?
This video is about my experience of the 2025 VIA race. VIA is a 4,000 kilometer self-supported race across Europe. No drafting, no support cars, just you, your bike and the road. This edition started in southern Italy with 16 gates you need to pass through, taking you all the way through Italy, Austria, Slovenia, Germany, Switzerland, France, before ending in the Netherlands. You get to decide which route you take, but most riders will roughly hit 4,000 kilometers and over 40,000 meters of elevation. I'd never raced anything this long before, but I'd signed up to see how far I could push myself. This is how my race went.
We're at the start line in Giovinazzo, just taking a little trip down to the sea. We're in final prep. We signed on this morning. All checked in, and we've just been doing final prep to the bike. I'm pretty nervous in terms of the routing and the setup. I'm just second guessing myself a bit, I think. But also excited to get going, but this is just going to be absolutely incredible. At 6 o'clock, we've got the race briefing and the final dinner together.
It's so nice to put faces and voices.
We are on our way to the start line, and then we will be beginning the race in 1 hour. Very nervous, very excited. It's a weird feeling right now. Ready, buddy? That's right. Check this out. Sounds like Christmas. We're underway.
The race started with a 1.5 kilometer controlled start, taking us through the streets of Giovinazzo to get us safely to the town's limits. It was a final chance to check all was good with the bike and wish those around me a great race.
So the nerves are not quite away just yet, but one final turn and then we're on the go. Ciao, ciao. That is it, we have started. The race is splitting up already and we're on the move. Time to go. Hey, this is it. Checkpoint 1 done. And the weather looks pretty naff behind us.
The first few hours slowly saw riders start to spread out, and after checkpoint 1 it wasn't long before you were riding solo. There was some crazy weather on that first day, but it was all about just getting into the groove.
On the other side, that's not a very nice day. Welcome to the next couple hours.
After summiting Monte Vergine and avoiding this dog, which I'm 99% sure is the one which attacked Marc Buchel. As a brief aside, Marc was bitten by a dog on day 1, got a rabies jab, and still finished 5th in the race. Anyway, after summiting, I started to descend on a 4 kilometer gravel path, which is where my first routing concerns came in. It was not at all rideable, and I did start to question the decisions pre-race me had made. But after a stressful hiker bike descent, I made it back to the road and into my first night.
The night shift is on, powering along in the moment. We're in a bit of a groove and we're just enjoying it.
I managed to get about 3 hours sleep that first night, and after struggling to find food on a sleepy Italian Sunday morning, I stocked up at a Lidl I found along the way.
We are tacked. Shopping is done. Done a big resupply. Might have over-egged it a little bit. We are not running out of food anytime soon. We're just passing through a town called Bossi, and then the climb proper begins up to Campo Imperatore.
As day 2 continued, I was starting to find my groove and believe in myself a bit more. I was comfortably in the top 20. The body was also feeling tired, but I felt like I had it under control, relatively.
We are almost at the top of Campo Imperatore. I am buggered, really cooked. So we have Made it to the top of Campo Imperatore. Those last few K were incredibly difficult, but the views from the top make it all worthwhile. Oh! Let's go, buddy. Let's go, bro.
After cheering on some other riders on their climb and dealing with a road closure which forced me into another gravel detour, I found myself entering my second night with my first big decision.
So I'm really not sure what to do. Big climb now, 1,400 meters over 21K. The air's gone really cold and up ahead is lightning storms. Wow. So we're not sure, but we're riding towards the climb. I guess the decision's been made. This van's been driving with me for a good half an hour, 40 minutes now, I think, just to help me light up the way. But him and his wife, I think, are trying to look after me, which is very nice. This is the biggest test I've ever had. My car offered me a place to stay and a shower. I say no, 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 and I need to keep moving. And then he goes, there's wolves at the top. And I'm like, fuck. Okay. Mulled over his consideration again before saying no. We're gonna get this climb out of the way and done. Hopefully I leave Wolf free. It's okay. I go this way. I think that's just a dog, not a wolf, hopefully.
By day 3 I was getting used to the flow of the race and starting to collect checkpoints. Had some minor issues with routing and my portable battery stopped working, but my confidence grew every time I solved one of these problems. Which is why in spite of this, I was still in high spirits, even if it was raining. I passed through gate 6, Passo Giorgio, and got soaking wet before descending down and checking into my first hotel at 2 AM. The next day I started riding through the Po Valley and was feeling pretty good.
It's flat as a pancake at the moment. We're powering towards Verona and that will signify the start of the climb up to the next checkpoint.
After lunch in Verona, the gentle climb through the Adige Valley began.
Views are looking pretty good at the minute.
Getting food along the way was often a rushed experience. Easy to eat items were chucked on the bike for on-the-go eating.
We'll take them with us.
Difficult things like kebabs were eaten on the spot. But with dinner sorted, I headed into my 4th night climbing up Brenner Pass and just trying to stay warm. I ended up bivvying halfway, and it wasn't the most successful.
It's about 5 AM and bivvy spot was not that successful. I was there for 4 hours. How much of it I slept, I don't know. It was so cold, 3 degrees. I'm trying to just get moving again because I know it's the only thing that's going to get me warm, but I need to coerce my body into moving first.
You could say I warmed up as I climbed to the top of the Brenner Pass, but it would be a relative term. I was still freezing. And as I started the descent back down the other side, I knew I just needed a coffee and 5 minutes inside somewhere to get some warmth back in my bones. So despite overtaking Jair, a rider from the Netherlands that I'd been going back and forth with for a few days now, the minute I saw a petrol station, I just dove straight in to warm up. That didn't stop me trying to catch up with him though, as the big climb to Kutai Dam started.
Not cold anymore, that's the good news. This is the climb to Kutai Dam. We're digging deep for this one. Really deep.
It is hard to convey just how long these climbs are sometimes, and this one is no different. Some of the 20% sections just zapped my energy, and I did have to stop for a breather halfway, but I finally made it up.
This thing is absolutely stunning. I'm getting emotional again. What is it with being completely exhausted and removing all sleep? It makes you just want to cry. Who knows? So that is gate 7 in the bag. Now to descend and head over to the refuge. See you on the descent. One final look. Oh, look at that.
The descent down from Kutai Dam was breathtaking and a necessary breather for my legs. But mainly, I was absolutely buzzing for some time off the bike and human interaction at Refuge 1.
Just arriving into Refuge 1. The entrance is here. Let's get walking. How are we doing?
Yes.
My name is Benson, or Biking Viking.
Welcome to Fritzen's. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Did your legs hurt because of it?
I tell you what it was, I'd been putting down some power to try and catch up to Jair, and then he just took off and I had no chance of catching him. That was Was that the worst climb for you?
I hated it. Once I saw that, like where we were intending on going,
Yeah.
I got off my bike and pushed it.
Yeah.
Did you ride all the way up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, my legs are just jelly now.
Yeah.
All right, Braz.
Catch you later, buddy.
You know what position you're in, Owen?
I think I'm 9th. I think.
Yes, I think so. So, if you're 9th,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Very good. Yeah.
How's your ride been so far?
I've surprised myself, I think.
This was my first extended human interaction since the race had begun. And I didn't realise it, but I put a lot of expectation on recharging here. And it didn't disappoint. Recharged electronics, proper hot food, hot shower, fresh bib shorts, fresh socks, and lots of socialising helped me feel like a new person. It was also a chance for me to fully take in how far I'd come, how far I'd pushed myself, and really just soak in the race so far. I definitely spent a bit too long at Refuge 1, but I left feeling a lot fresher and knowing that I'd found my race rhythm. The race so far had taken me from southern Italy all the way up to Austria through some immense mountain passes. And as I left Refuge 1, I climbed back over one of these passes to start my journey towards Slovenia in full race mode. Bivvying in train station toilets to stay dry and downing espressos on the go.
I do not recommend this. Bad idea, but necessary.
As I passed through Austria, Sami and Yair had started to pull away, and I found myself racing against Alex and Philippe, but mental exhaustion had definitely started to kick in.
Today has been absolute chaos. I'd loads of trouble with routing, essentially ridden on the motorway. I think I missed a sign or something, I don't know. Just having a lot of trouble. Tiredness is kicking in, decision making is struggling.
As I closed in on Slovenia, the physical exhaustion also continued.
It's getting really difficult now, just to turn the pedals, just constantly shifting, trying to get comfy. There is no comfy, a form of insanity, I think.
On the intense climb up Pavlic Pass, Philippe caught me up. But to be honest, he provided a welcome distraction from the 20% gradients.
You probably double the weight of me. Oh, yeah, anyway. Not too bad. How are you doing? Pretty okay. Yesterday was too much. Okay. Here he is! Hey, Ozzy! Yeah, not too bad. Good to see you. Flying.
I don't know, man.
Did you sleep?
Yeah.
Nice!
I got 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Alrighty, I'll check my man. I got someone holding my ass.
Yeah, you know.
After our brief catch up, I told Philippe to go ahead on the climb as he was much faster than me. We saw each other again at gate 8 where I topped up with some water before tackling the climb all over again and descending back into Austria the way we had come. As the race continued through Austria the following day, my battle with Philippe and Alex continued over the Austrian Alps, heading towards Salzburg and up to gate 9.
I've been dreading this climb ever since I drew it on the map. Another 1,100 meter climb, but I think it's only 14k or something crazy. Last thing on an e-bike. Usually I have that right now. The final moments of this climb, Philippe has just pipped me. Took a shorter route. These little mini competitions take your mind off the race as you're just pushing for that next thing. You forget about the bigger picture. It's quite nice. Let's see if we can find it. I was trying to chase you, buddy.
Oh no, it's the German again.
Oh,
I thought you were in front of me.
no, we came off short route.
Yeah, because it's like,
Oh.
yeah. Well, I also made a decision. I'm not gonna go the Austrian route again. I'm gonna go to Germany.
So we'll part ways, brother.
See you around.
Say goodbye to the camera. Philippe,
Bye bye.
you motivated me up the hill.
That's good.
See you later, buddy. Good to see you.
After saying goodbye to Philippe, I descended down from Rossfeld Panorama towards the town of Bad Reichenhall. I decided to draw up a different route through Germany, which hugged the Alps a bit closer, instead of riding through Munich. My hope was it would protect me a bit more from the weather front moving in. The slight issue was that I couldn't send this new route to my Garmin, and so I found myself navigating from my phone. As the evening closed in, I grabbed some dinner from Burger King and chucked it in my tub so I could keep moving.
Oh dear lord, 65 meter climb with a burger. Dinner has been eaten, getting ready to head into the night. I've been up since 2 AM, to be honest, ready for bed. But I'm gonna try and go as far as I can. The only thing that could change that is the rain, which if you look now, looks to be brewing.
rain was indeed brewing. After getting soaked overnight and attempting to sleep in a German bank, I continued the next day at 2 a.m, hoping the rain would pass. But it had not passed. It had only just started. And although my mood was okay to begin with,
I am sodden wet and I'm cold. I'll see you in 8 hours.
it soon turned.
Absolutely disgusting. And if I'd have known it was going to rain like this on this route, I would have picked the flat one. This is just ridiculous. This is going to be a miserable 100 miles.
As the rain continued to come down and my mood dropped, the situation only got worse. Navigation issues started as my phone was so wet I couldn't even open it, and I found myself navigating through Germany by remembering town names I needed to pass through. Repeatedly I would get lost and need to check my phone, but with everything soaking wet on my bike, I found the only way to do this was to rip off a piece of baguette I had in my food bin and use it like a squeegee. I was pretty happy with myself for this process, to be honest. But after hours of this process of getting lost, getting wet, I was incredibly low, shivering uncontrollably and just trying to hide from that deathly cold headwind that was chilling me to my core.
This has just been a saga, an absolute saga that I can't wait for it to be over.
When I arrived into Refuge 2, I was just happy to get warm and dry, and of course get some human company again.
Hello. Oh, I need a hug from somebody. Okay. I've been through. That was by far the lowest I've ever been. How are you doing? You look nice and clean and warm.
Short shorts? What's happening?
I'm drying off my legs. They were all shriveled up. Also, I figured something out. You're like the ruler in the Hunger Games there. I'm sure you spoke to someone up top and got that rain in there for you. Those are my sleep-deprived thoughts for you.
The day spent riding through the rain into Refuge 2 is by far one of the lowest I've ever felt. In fact, the only reason I kept pushing was because it was a race. As I walked into the refuge, Philippe was warming up, calm and relaxed. Alex was about half an hour behind us. My energy was pretty frantic. I'd found my rhythm, I'd built my confidence, and the battle was on. Now, I was scared to lose it. As I went into the final stage of the race, I had created a plan. The constant back and forth with Philippe and Alex was starting to drain me, and I wanted to solidify my position heading into the last stretch. If I could hold on for the final few climbs, I knew I could start to use my power on the flats. So I decided to reduce my sleep time by 1 hour, up my caffeine intake, obviously, and massively reduce faff time. This was all in an effort to secure that 8th position. If that meant enjoying baked goods during climbs, then so be it. I started implementing my plan as I headed through Germany's Black Forest, also deciding to take some potentially risky gravel shortcuts in an effort to cut time. Little did I know this would become one of my favourite sections of the whole race. Flying along downhill on the Black Forest gravel, I was surprised at how well my 35mm road slicks handled this section, and for a brief moment I completely forgot I was even racing.
Hello from France, ticked off checkpoint 10 and checkpoint 11, and we're on our way to checkpoint 12, which is somewhere up one of these mountains. This is going to be the final big climb. It's 1,000 meters, 27k, so it's not too crazy. Ahead is the Grand Ballon. You can see it. It's the end of the climb. 2k left. I am spent. Final few hundred meters, and then the big climbs are done, and I feel very good about that. Just make sure the tracker, ping the location.
Let's get descending. As I descended down, I started to realise that my plan was working. I spotted Philippe climbing up and estimated he was about an hour behind me, and I stopped to say a quick hello to Alex, who looked about 2 hours behind. I now felt comfortable putting down some power on the flats, which I powered through with some afternoon ice cream before cruising along the canal paths into the city of Strasbourg. I struggled to resupply as it was a Sunday evening in France, and so McDonald's was pretty much the only option I had. I got myself ready to head into the night, incredibly happy with how the day had gone.
Right, let's crack on.
And then time stood still. With under 1,000 kilometers to go, and knowing the riding was relatively flat, it had seemed like the finish line was so close. But it wasn't. Far from it. Seconds, minutes, hours blurred together. Felt like I was in a trance. Unfortunately, this trance was only broken when I fell off my bike near Frankfurt. I slipped on some tram tracks and my ribs smashed into a curb pretty hard. It took me an hour to check over myself and make sure I could carry on racing. And so I continued to crawl to gate 13 in Detmold, knowing that Philippe was gaining on me. After ticking off the penultimate gate, I rode into the night in Germany, sleeping only 3 hours. But as the sun rose on what I thought would be my last day racing, spirits were pretty high.
Today, hopefully the final day. Under 400 kilometers from the finish line now. Hopefully arrive in by latest 1 a.m.
The kilometers crawled by as I entered the Netherlands, and the weather wasn't done with me just yet. Rolling storms passed through and smashed and soaked me to pieces.
You're getting really wet very quickly. Oh my lord. Oh, that is pelting.
And the headwinds were absolutely brutal.
When you see the flat section at the end of Via, start rubbing your hands together, and then you realise it's Holland, and the headwind is absolutely brutal.
But the mood was pretty good as I could feel the finish line closing in, and I had a surprise visit from Wout cheering me on, a fellow racer who had unfortunately had to pull out.
This is not a drill, people. We're on final approach of the final gate. Gate 14 is in the books, and we are on the way to the finish line! Woo! That feels good to say. Let's head home, people.
As I hit the final gate Lowersmeer, I had a 45-kilometer buffer behind me to Philippe, and Yair was only 25 kilometers ahead of me.
For about 2 hours, I managed to push pretty hard, attempting to catch Yair, but with 160 kilometers left, the wheels came off. I could see the finish line, and that was messing with my mentality. My mind just kept looping, with my body telling me we can't do this anymore, before my mind would jump in and say we have to. The two thoughts would replay over and over and over again, and I felt like I was going insane. As the night drew in, I was really struggling. This has been an absolute slog. It's just turned midnight, probably got 2 hours left. Everything hurts. I want to stop. Feels like it's been done already, but it hasn't, and we need to keep going.
The final nail in the coffin was the construction works blocking the road with only 5 kilometers left. It forced everybody to reroute, which with 5 kilometers to the finish line just felt like a sucker punch. I briefly looked at my tracker to try and decipher what other riders had done before giving up and Google Mapsing to the finish line. And it ended up taking me on a gravel path at 2 a.m. Not ideal. I did make it back to the tarmac though, and before a few final turns into Amarongen, I found myself at the finish line and hearing that glorious horn.
Oh my god. You guys are here.
We are here.
What the congrats, buddy. Took some gravel at the end.
I have no idea what the is happening.
What was I saying to you? What position I would come in? Yeah, and you said, oh, mid-pack. I said to you, what could you achieve? I said, 20, easily. And you didn't even believe me at that,
No.
did you?
No.
So, by riding your arse off,
Yeah.
probably literally,
Yeah, so
managed 8.
thank you.
Bud.
I'm very happy.
Congratulations are in order. Nice. Oh, let's get you inside.
Yeah.
After reaching the finish line, I celebrated with the Via team and my 2 friends from The Hague who'd come to visit. We ate some cake, I told stories from the past few days, and most importantly just enjoyed sitting still with no time pressure. Philippe had caught me up and was about 30 minutes behind me. We had a celebratory beer together before we both showered and went to bed. The next few days were spent in De Prelude, welcoming in other finishers, eating lots of food and trying to process the race. The latter takes a while, but after 3 weeks, I think it's all sunk in. This race for me was life-changing. I found confidence in my own riding abilities, and it pushed me to places that even I didn't know I could get to. Before the race, I couldn't even imagine finishing in the top 20, let alone breaking the top 10. But the finishing position isn't why I've fallen in love with this sport. As with everything I do, it's always about the people. For a sport that seems so solitary, it's bizarre how much of it is actually about the community. I can't describe the joy you feel when you see another rider out on the road, or the huge relief of the support you get when you're visiting a refuge. Even the competitiveness of riding fiercely with those riders around you somehow turns into an incredibly strong bond. I think that's why you wear your finishing number so proudly, is because of how much respect and how strong the bond is. You support each other during the race and will them on because the success is shared. I couldn't truly capture this race in all its glory for the reason that I was racing. I forgot to film key moments and the camera angles sometimes are questionable, but hopefully I've managed to capture and show you guys a little bit of the spirit of the community, because that for me is what makes this race so special. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really helps me and helps the channel grow. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one, and maybe I'll see you at the start line next year. Ciao.